You are now listening to Random Ramblings with Rob. Yay! Yay! Yeah!
What up, everybody? This your boy B-Rob, and I'm back with another edition of the Random Ramblers with Rob podcast. First and foremost, I'd like to thank you, the listener, for coming back each and every week, or however you listen to podcasts. If you're a brand new listener, I appreciate you for giving my show a try. And if anybody referred you to me, if you're in their vicinity, give them a crisp high five. But if you're not, you can do it virtually via your favorite social media app, such as Tinder, Grindr, freaking Instagram, Facebook, MySpace. It is still around. I don't even know how long I've been saying that. You know, I just kind of added that on the end or whatever, but it's still valid. Virtually send the motherfuckers some high fives and shit. But as per usual, I have a guest with me on this edition of the show, and this one is a delight for me. Is a personal treat to myself. I heard this man say a phrase that I've never heard at the time in all 36 years of my life. And it's, as you do. And as you do. Yeah, yes. I've never heard this term before in my life. I've come to know him from, that movie show on, the NEI Pop Network, and it always sounds like I'm saying NEI, but it's NAI. And there's many television shows on the New England Sports Network. I don't know what the acronym stand for. That's why I had to say it real slow like that. For NESN. NESN. Yeah, I thought so, NESN. But I didn't want to insult you saying it wrong. That's why I just said the whole thing.
You know what? You're better than most people. Most people will mispronounce it horribly. But yes, it's said how it sounds. NESN. NESN.
Yeah, just like a advanced Nintendo system to me. That's what it sounds like.
Exactly. It's the NES system.
Exactly. You may know him from Wicked Bites, that wrestling show. Goddamn. Yeah. Various roles in movies that I would not list right now because there's so many of them. And I'm trying not to waste this.
And most of them are terrible romantic comedies that shouldn't be watched.
But I've rambled enough.
I am a whore as an actor, so yes, please don't watch my movies.
Okay, but my guess is Mike Wendt. How are you, sir?
I'm excellent. I'm doing fantastic. I'm actually sitting at the bar at Wahlburgers in Linfield, Massachusetts. I have a half of a beer left. I'm sitting here with my co-host from Wicked Bites, Melissa Klemenakis, and she's texting someone at the moment and ignoring me very hard. Yes, you are. You're ignoring me.
Is it about
she's waiting to get her sangria filled is what she's actually doing. But yes, we're sitting at Wahlburgers. We just crushed some fried pickles quickly because there was only a few of them.
Does the text involve penis? Because I've heard her scream penis since we've been on the phone.
She has been screaming penis since we've been on the phone.
I only said penis once. I said twice.
See that? See? And I said it a third time.
See,
penis.
Penis is all over the podcast.
Yeah. There's just this cock everywhere.
Yes.
But I do want to address the as you do thing as you did probably the best intro I've ever had when I've been a guest on a podcast, which I've been a guest on quite a few. And so congratulations to you for being that top tier introduction. But the as you do comment I'm a huge fan of British comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And as you do is I guess because I'm so used to it, I think it's normal, but I guess it's a British term.
Yeah.
I've heard it very many times from Ricky Gervais, or from the amazing show which you can find on Amazon Prime called Peep Show. It's a great first-person comedy that has 8 seasons, and one of the actresses on it is Olivia Colman, who's actually up for an Oscar Sunday night.
Sweet.
And it's great. And As You Do is said constantly in the manner that we do. It's kind of like I'm trying to think of an example that would explain As You Do. So it's like I picked up this salt and put it on my steak. As you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As you do. It's just like, yeah, of course you did.
Yeah.
Of course that happened. And I guess because I've been exposed for so long to that British comedy, I never thought twice about it until I started doing that movie show. And especially since you started tweeting how random it was that it became a catchphrase, because I was just saying it as a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, I'm, joined since you do a lot of things that I like. You eat a lot of cool food.
I appreciate that.
you eat a lot of cool food. You drink a lot of good drink. You got an ass load of movies. You have a movie collection that I rival. You know, I
literally have a library in my house.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Not even exaggeration. I have over 2,000 physical media movies in my house.
Yeah, I know. Because when you told me the number, I was highly upset because in my circle of people that I know, I am the king ding-a-ling of freaking physical copies of movies and shit. I have like 1,700. So
it was funny because I was actually just talking to my brother about this because he just got a brand new TV and it's got all the different apps, you know, Vudu and Movies Anywhere and all the different apps and stuff. And he followed, he's a younger brother, so he followed in my footsteps of collecting movies. And we were, for lack of a better term, commiserating over the fact that, thank you very much, that it was like a year ago when iTunes lost a bunch of licenses to movies that people had bought movies on iTunes, lost those movies. And immediately I said, well, you can't lose a license to a disc.
Exactly.
Like I have, like I said, over 2,000 discs in my library in my home, and nobody can ever take that shit away from me. So it's like, despite how many, you know, how convenient it is to boot up a Netflix or a Vudu or any of those things, it's like you can't compare to actually having a physical copy, and you will always have those movies with you. I mean, shit, I still got a VHS player that works.
Goddamn, can I borrow that? Because I got some home videos that I need to dub, and I'm gonna digitize and put on my computer. I have all the attachments. I just don't have a motherfucking VCR.
It was a sad day when my Laserdisc player stopped working. Let me tell you.
Oh man,
Laserdisc player. I'm sorry, my co-host Melissa is asking what a Laserdisc player is. What? She's about 10 years younger than me. It's like a large DVD. Laserdisc is like a record, a vinyl record. You know, it's like the millennials like to put on their walls as art. Well, I did it in the 90s when you were a child. Whatever. Sorry, I'm having a completely different conversation than I am with you. Go on, sir.
Now, just, you know, on that topic of Laserdisc and everything, when did you first come across DVDs? Because I know I had a heavy collection of VHS tapes. I had a lot of wrestling VHS, and I had a lot of kung fu flicks and whatnot.
Love it.
And then walking into a Suncoast video for the first time and seeing a DVD and holding it alongside a VHS tape, I'm like, well, shit, I could steal 3 times as more as these. So,
well, that was just it, and it was a lifetime ago. I ran 4 Hollywood video stores. Yeah, I did a lifetime ago. It was the number one competitor to Blockbuster, and it was in the VHS days. And I was actually the first store to introduce DVDs to the corporate system. Because, you know, I was a 20-year-old kid who said, I'm going to order a bunch of DVDs because I'm not paying for this shit.
Exactly.
And then when corporate showed up, they're like, you can't be renting these. I'm like, yeah, but they were fucking expensive when I bought them. Yeah, but again, it was a corporate time. But so in the late '90s, I got into Laserdisc because they had the extra features. They had the director commentary tracks. They had deleted scenes. They were in widescreen. And at the time, VHS wasn't doing that shit.
Yeah.
And then maybe like a year into me collecting Laserdiscs, all of a sudden DVDs came out. And those of us who were Laserdisc guys, and if you go and it's the best example I can put is the Criterion collection of Chasing Amy is it's a Laserdisc version of it, but it's on Blu-ray. Mm-hmm. And Kevin Smith is trashing DVDs because he was thank you so much. He was a Laserdisc guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, fuck DVDs. It's a fad. It's not going to go around. And that's how we felt because Laserdiscs were an investment. They were $40 a movie.
Yep.
You know, I mean, DVDs are, $5 to $10, but Laserdiscs were a fucking investment. And they, it was like having an LP collection. It was like having a vinyl collection. They were pieces of art that you displayed and that it took time to watch the movie. I mean, you literally had to flip a fucking disc to watch a 90-minute movie. Bullshit. It really was bullshit. and so eventually I was going to this Laserdisc store, and they started stocking DVDs, and I'm like, okay, let me, and I was friendly with the owner, and I'm like, can I just like borrow or rent your player and take one of these home, see what the hell the whole thing is? He's like, just take it. So he gave me the player for a couple days, and it was the DVD of Boogie Nights.
Oh no.
And I took it home, and I saw Boogie Nights in the theater.
Yeah.
So I knew the movie, and I owned the Laserdisc of Boogie Nights. But I was like, what's the big fucking deal about DVDs? So I brought the player home, I plugged it into my TV, and I watched it, and it was the fact that I didn't have to flip the disc. I didn't have to deal with all the bullshit. And I'm like, this is just so simple and easy, and then all of a sudden I'm like, and it's really fucking affordable.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I was paying $40 a movie for a Laserdisc, and DVDs come out and they're like, yeah, $10.
Yeah, man.
I'm like, what's wrong with me? So that was my first exposure to the DVDs, and now I have literally a collection of 2,000 of them.
Now I'm sitting here and you talking about Boogie Nights being on freaking Laserdisc and whatnot, and it's kind of blowing my mind because that was in '97 that movie came out. So it probably came out on Laserdisc almost a year or so later, so probably about '98 or something like that.
Yep.
And
exactly.
I can remember growing up because I think probably about at this time I was either a sophomore or junior in high school, so I never really had that technology available to me in my area because I was from a little small podunk town in fucking Louisiana and shit. So
sure.
I knew what Laserdisc was, but I didn't really have a place to go buy something like that unless I drove, an hour or so to Texas or something, a bigger place. But
oh, trust me, it wasn't like they were readily available to me either. I had to drive 45 minutes every time I wanted to go to the Laserdisc store. It wasn't like they were like conveniently down the street in your local, Sam Goody or Blockbuster or anything. It's like I had to drive to a specialty store 45 minutes away just to spend probably $20 more than I should have on a movie.
Yeah. So we had the phasing of VHS out, going into Laserdisc, then the Laserdisc into DVDs, and then we had the debacle with DVD to Blu-ray and HD DVD, which the HD DVD freaking died out damn quick. So now we got
really quick
Blu-ray and we got the 4K disc and everything. So what do you think is going to be the next trend and everything? I know we more leaning towards digital content and whatnot, but I feel like there should always be a physical medium. So what do you think is next beyond these 4K discs, or will that just be the norm from then here on out?
I think in maybe 3 years that will become the norm. At the moment, I haven't upgraded to 4K just because, again, it feels right now. I'm looking at like price points and stuff, and I'm like, it feels very much like I harken back to the Laserdisc time because the 4K discs are $40 a movie, and I'm just like, I'm not ready to. When I can get a Blu-ray, I have a Blu-ray player. I have I have a Blu-ray. I have a 1080 TV and stuff, and it's like, it looks great. It sounds great. I have the 7-speaker surround sound in my house. So it's like, I'm good right now spending $5 to $10 on a movie. I'm not ready to go back to the 90s and spend $40 on a movie that might look slightly better, might sound literally the same. So I think it's going to take probably 3 to 4 years before, so that everybody can, all the consumers can
catch up pretty
much. Make it normal, and then it can become affordable, because that's the real trick. That's why lasers never really took off, is because they were 40 to 50. Some of them cost over $100 per movie.
Yeah.
I had a copy of Pulp Fiction that cost retail $120. I bought it for $70. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, but that was just how much of a psychotic OCD collector I was.
Yeah. And
so until it becomes consumer affordable, it won't become norm. Especially because everybody with the 4K shit, it's like everybody's got to upgrade their TVs and upgrade their DVD players and upgrade their shit. And at the moment, 90%, I would say 90% of the culture is trying to cut all that stuff and go streaming.
Yeah.
And go streaming completely, which, as someone who has cut cable, I'm all for. However, when it comes to movies and stuff, I believe in that physical media. I believe that the Blu-ray discs look and sound better than anything you can find on streaming, despite how convenient it is, and despite the fact that I do subscribe to the streaming services and have those all in my home. It's like, yeah, but I also still buy the movies.
Yeah, I can kind of tell you what, like, the digital mediums fill the void in here in my house, because, like, just like you, I like to have the physical copy of whatever movie, but like, if I got all these movies, if I have a movie that I want to watch but it's not in the collection, that's kind of where Netflix come in. I'll be like, oh, let's watch such and such, and I look at my little catalog on my phone. All right, we don't have that. See if it's on Netflix. And that's the only role Netflix play in the house, because everything else we want to watch is here in the house, Right. But you talk about
there's nothing wrong with that either. I mean, I would assume. I mean, you're a wrestling guy. I'm assuming you've watched Glow, and it's one of the best TV shows that's come out in the last handful of years.
Now you talk about your collection and everything. How meticulous you are with your collecting and whatnot. How deep do you go? So if you have it, do you have it, or do you seek out a better copy of it? Like, what I mean is, when I first started, I started out with DVDs. Now they have the same movies, the better versions on Blu-rays, and sometimes they come out with a collector's edition, yada, 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 and so on and so forth. What I find myself doing.
I am completely. I was talking to my brother, actually, because, as I said, I passed on my disease to him. We are addicts. We are movie addicts, and we look for the best quality, the best product, the best version of a movie we can find. And there are certain movies, like even today, I was talking to my brother, and he's like, yeah, this is the 5th time I've bought Predator. Predator. Not The Godfather, not one of the top movies of all time, but the fucking Predator, Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers, Jesse Ventura, and it's the 5th time he bought it. And I'm the same way. It's like, there's movies that I've spent absurd amounts of money on that most people wouldn't even be like, that's not worth $1. One of the biggest, I guess, box sets, for lack of a better term, I have on Blu-ray is the Arrow video one they released about 6 months, maybe 7 months ago, of Last House on the Left.
Okay. Which
was Wes Craven's first movie. And it's most people would watch it and be like, that is a horrible movie.
Yeah.
It's tasteless, it's gross, it's graphic. It's something that shouldn't be consumed by most normal people. And I have 4 different copies of it.
Now, when it comes
and I'm still looking for a better copy. You know what I mean? It's like, just because I like that schlocky, grindhousey type of old school 70s, physical effects horror type of shit that does it for me. I love that shit.
Yeah. And then, with my collection and everything, I'm somewhat of a completionist. So if I buy the freaking first Scorpion King movie, then they come out with 4 more, I got to have all the shit, even though I don't like them. And then, what I find myself doing that I really fucking hate is, over time, when they make movies with sequels and everything, you wind up buying them one by one. But like when the last one come out or whatever, they come out with a whole box sets with all of them in it, and I'm just like, motherfucker.
Yep. It's a tough patience that I've tried to establish over the last few years. I did it. I did it with the last Mission Impossible. So I own the original Mission Impossible on DVD. Never upgraded to Blu-ray. And I've seen all of them, mostly in theater, and some like on streaming and stuff like that. And right before the last one came out a few months ago, they released a box set of like all 6 of them. And I'm like, you know what? They're going to come out. They've already announced 2 more. I'm not going to spend $30 on this box set. I will spend $30 in 2 years when the rest of them come out and Tom Cruise actually kills himself in one of these stunts.
See, I
am an extreme couponer.
Yeah, what I wind up doing is like, all right, the first 3 Mission Impossibles I have on DVD. They've came out with more since then, so I have all those on Blu-ray. When they presented that box set at Walmart with all of them on Blu-ray, I went back and I bought the box set so I could have all of them on the same format. And then I just took the other ones. What I wind up doing is whatever I replace, I take out. I put them in my little corner pile over here. I got a stack over here of stuff that I've already upgraded and replaced. I take them to the pawn shop. I know this good place that sell Blu-rays 3 for $10, and I would trade those movies in so I can get more movies that I don't have.
And that's one of the cooler things about having like a local video store. Here in the area, we have what's called Bull Moose. They have, I think, maybe 4 or 5 stores. I could be completely wrong. They might have 3 stores. But there's one right by my office, and God bless them because they buy back DVDs.
Yeah.
And I've gotten to a point where I've upgraded enough of my DVDs to Blu-ray, and I don't know what to do with the DVDs. It's like, because every time you buy a Blu-ray, it's like, oh, here's a Blu-ray, a DVD, and a digital copy. And it's like, well, I just wanted the Blu-ray because the DVD was from 1990 something, and this is a brand new scan of the film. So what the fuck am I supposed to do with this thing now? Well, luckily there are a few stores like that they'll give you $1 or $2. And it's like, okay, I've gotten 20 years of use out of this movie. $1 or $2, I'm not complaining about. And the Bull Moose ones, which are here in, I think they're in Merrimack Valley of Massachusetts and in southern New Hampshire. They do like it's a buyback program where you build enough credit to eventually get like if you spend $100, you can get $50 off. So basically, you can pick $100 worth of movies for $50. It's a half off type of thing, which is kind of cool. And they're a local video store type of thing. It's that throwback old school feel where even like back in like August, September, I was in one of their stores and I was going to buy Maniac, which is a fantastic grindhousey 70s horror film. Yeah, grindhouse, baby. Type of 70s film. And I was going to buy it on Blu-ray. And the clerk at the counter goes, "Are you sure you want to get this?" And I go, "I love this movie and I have it on DVD. I want to upgrade to Blu-ray." He goes, "Yeah, but in like 3 months, they're going to release a brand new 4K scan of this movie." So I'm like, you're literally telling me not to buy this product from your store because there's a better product coming. and I appreciate that sort of old school video store honesty from those types of clerks. It was fantastic. I immediately became a fan of them. It was like my first time in the store.
Yeah. And that's what I'm missing right now. Cause I had, when I was living in North Carolina, I had a place that I would go all the time, and they would see me so much that like they would double my in-store credit cause they know I was just turning shit into them to buy shit from them. So, and then
right.
I had to move, and then I couldn't never find another place like that. But I do have,
it's tough. It's tough in this day and age, especially with like stuff like Amazon. It's fucking tough to find, a local retailer that you trust.
Now, I'll be talking about movies and all kind of things like that. What's your genre of choice?
Honestly, it's a tough question. Mm-hmm. I love movies.
Yeah.
In general. For instance, I've been talking a lot on the That Movie Show radio show, which we do on Northshore 104.9 every Saturday morning, as well as the podcast. I love A Star Is Born, mm-hmm. which isn't my particular genre. It's like I'm if I had to pick one, I'm more of that Tarantino type of genre, mm-hmm. the grindhouse, the 70s horror, the blaxploitation, the just schlocky type of like really gritty type of movie. But watching A Star Is Born, I've probably seen it like 6 or 7 times now. I bought the Blu-ray on Tuesday, and it just emotionally fucked me so up that I'm like, this is the best movie I've seen in probably 10 years. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing. I tell people, like, I know I sound like a shill mm-hmm. for A Star Is Born, but it literally, like, still, even last night, I probably watched it for the 6th time. And when Lady Gaga goes out on stage for the first time with Bradley Cooper to sing that song Shallow, my fucking arms fill up with goosebumps. My eyes start to water. I become just a whimpering fucking woman. And it's awesome to feel that, to have a movie that makes you feel that way. Mm-hmm. To have, like, because normally we just go to the theater, we give them their $25. It's like, oh, that's a cool 90 minutes. Awesome. I guess I'll forget about that. But for this one, it's like that made me feel shit that I haven't like experienced in a movie in easily a decade.
Yeah. And that's what kind of steered me away from it or whatever, because I get scared of my emotions sometimes and I don't want to feel all fucked up like that.
Right. That's just it. We're guys. We're not supposed to cry or whatever. But it's like, fine. This movie did it to me. It's like, fuck it, man. They did a great job.
Now, you have a list of accolades, from being, on-screen personality, writer, producer, right. director, and whatnot, or whatever. I mean, you obviously displayed your, love for just movie watching in general, but what made you want to pursue somewhat of an acting career or some kind of involvement within the movie industry? Honestly,
it was one of those things that it's going to sound as cliche as shit, but it's one of those things you're just born with. Mm-hmm. As a kid, like there's still pictures of me, like family photos at like holiday parties and stuff. And I'm the kid with the big VHS camcorder on the shoulder. I was, setting up cameras and just making little movies at like 8-10 years old. The second I realized, oh my God, I can edit, I can edit a VHS to VHS. So I've set up 2 VHS players.
Yes.
And I just started editing stuff. And that was so cool. And then when computers became a thing, it was like, oh my God, I can add graphics and effects and I can edit so quickly. It was always just something I was interested in. And it just took a while for me to actually do it with a paycheck involved.
Yeah. No,
but it was always something. It was for lack of a better term, is something I was born with.
Yeah. And I kind of feel the same way. I mean, I've never really pursued like acting or anything like that, but it's more so the technology surrounding, movie making and everything. I always loved cameras and everything. I had one of them big ass shoulder mounted rocket launcher fucking VHS players and shit. So, I can remember, that coupled with the love of martial arts and and professional wrestling and all the other bullshit. There was a VHS tape floating around that I directed with all my friends in the neighborhood. And we was out there doing, at first it started out as a kung fu movie. We was doing like the bad dubs and everything. It was like moving our lips and making the words come out later and shit. We did it intentionally. Okay. And then, after we couldn't get the karate down right because none of us had any formal training or whatnot, it just turned into a wrestling match on camera.
Right. Exactly. And even that, like growing up, I grew up on a street with 3 different families, all of them with at least 3 boys. We were all into wrestling. We were in the 80s. We were in the Hulk Hogan era. So we used to do, and again, because I was into movies and we had that video camera, it was like we used to put on like wrestling shows in our basement just for ourselves. It's like we put the couches around to make a ring and we would play wrestling. And it was some of those fun shit we did at like I said, like 8, 10 years old. It wasn't like when I grew up into the 90s, the backyard wrestling stuff were breaking light bulbs over our fucking heads. It was actual, like, trying to do Hulk Hogan shit. I'm this character and I'm going to play this character and I'm going to come out and do this thing. And here's a camera. And it was weird because as kids, kids in their preteens, we shouldn't have got wrestling. We shouldn't have got the kayfabe of it.
Yeah.
We should have believed that this was real, and we should have been beating the shit out of each other. But we just got, for some reason, the group of us, the 3 families of 9 boys, just were like, no, this is play fighting.
Yeah.
There's no explaining it, but we just got pro wrestling to a point that we understood it wasn't, these guys weren't really beating the shit out of each other. So if we're going to play WWF at the time, we're not going to actually break each other's necks and put each other in camel clutches and shit. We're going to pretend to. So it was a weird dynamic for 9, young boys to really get into wrestling that way and really get it long before, for lack of a better term, kayfabe was broken.
Mm-hmm. And see, it's kind of weird in my upbringing with professional wrestling and whatnot, because I looked at movies as make believe, but I looked at wrestling as being real at the time, because you figure that boxing is in a ring, so that's real. Kickboxing is in a ring, so that's real. So professional wrestling is in a ring, so it has to be real, just like the other shit is. So that's kind of how I looked at it. So whenever we would like play fight, it would be like martial arts, like from movies and stuff like that. So we know it's a movie, so we know this is fake. We got to pull punches and everything. But when we would wrestle, we would try to fucking fuck each other up, But,
that was the weirdest thing. It's like even like I said, I mean, we were doing this shit when we were 8, 10, 12 years old, stuff like that. But even then, we're sitting there plotting out our own basement Royal Rumbles. Like, okay, you're going to come out here. You're going to come out here. I'm going to throw you out. Like we were booking matches in a basement based off of wrestling. And even then we were like, because it was the 80s. Mm-hmm. And at the time, Vince McMahon was a commentator. But even then, these, like the group of us, us 8-year-old to 12-year-old kids were like, no, but he owns the company. Mm-hmm. We're all in agreement on that, right? Jack Tunney is actually just the figurehead.
Okay.
Vince owns this shit. He owns it. And so we legit booked Royal Rumbles in my neighbor's basement. And it was like, looking back on it, I'm like, we really
ahead of the curve.
We're kind of hip to that shit, and we shouldn't have been.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we should have thought that this was a legit sport when it was, it's entertainment.
Now, we speaking about, 8-9 years old, playing professional wrestling or whatnot. When did you first come upon professional wrestling?
It's memory of television, professional wrestling. And it was, I said, I've always said when people have asked how long have you been a wrestling fan, I've said as long as I could turn on a television set. Mm-hmm. I remember early 80s, sitting in my house with my grandfather watching, Wrestling Challenge and Wrestling Superstars on Saturday and Sunday mornings, WWF. So it's my earliest, entertainment memory.
Yeah. Now, when I think back to my earliest professional wrestling memories, it all came from VHS tapes because I didn't have it accessible on TV. And then I was a kid to where I didn't stay in the house and watch TV. I wanted to go outside and play and run the streets and all kind of shit like that. So whenever I did get to watch it, it was via VHS tapes. And I didn't get into professional wrestling because of professional wrestling. I got into it because of a professional wrestler, but it wasn't because of his performance in the ring. It was because of his performances on screen. And this was Mr. Terry Bollea in No Holds Barred and Mr. Nanny and goddamn Suburban Commando. And I seen him in all these movies first before I saw professional wrestling. So, I mean, my timeline is kind of skewed because I watched everything on VHS tapes when I was younger. So I seen him in these movies. And then when I go to the video store, I seen him on a WrestleMania cover. I was like, hey, that's that guy from that movie I seen. And then
so you knew Hulk Hogan as an actor.
Yes.
That might be the funniest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's how I found it.
That's awesome, though. It got you there, right?
Yeah. If it wasn't for Hulk Hogan,
it fucking got you there. I mean, I'm assuming just by that story, I'm a little bit older. I mean, I watched WrestleMania 3 live.
Oh,
I watched it at my dad's house, and it was one of those big moments where it's like, my parents were divorced, and my dad had me and my brother over, and he's like, I'm going to get WrestleMania 3 for you. And it was like the Hogan Andre thing. And that was like our big, like, oh, holy shit, we get to stay up late and watch this. And so it was awesome. But it's like, that's so cool that you knew Hulk as an actor as opposed to a wrestler and then became a wrestling fan because he was an actor in those movies. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
I fucking love that.
Cause like, my earliest memories of WrestleMania was from, a VHS collection. It was called, Greatest Matches of WrestleMania. And I think it had one match from WrestleMania 1 through 5. So it had, the 6-man, the tag team match with Hogan and, Mr. T against Piper and Mr. Wonderful and freaking Muhammad Ali was there and all that. And then
the main event from the first one, it was Piper Orndorff and Ace Bob Orton.
Yeah, so I had
and it was Hogan Snuka and Mr. T. Yeah.
Yep. So I had like one match from the first 5 WrestleManias on this one VHS, and I would just watch that. And then it wasn't until I got like older and probably maybe leaving middle school, going into high school, 96, 97, that I really got to start watching Raw and WCW. But I would, you talk about the VCR and shit, right? Cause I mean, I love electronics and everything. So I knew how to program a VCR, and my mama had buku VCRs because she loved freaking soap operas, and she had a VCR in damn near every room so she could record all the different stories that would come on during the day. So I would get one VCR. I would watch the first hour of WCW. And then when Raw would come on, I would switch over to Raw. Then I would turn the VCR on to record the last 2 hours of WCW. And then when I would finish watching Raw, I would rewind the tape and watch the rest of WCW.
I'll see. I mean, I had the VCRs again. I had a shitload of VCRs because I was into the editing VCR thing, editing VHS tapes. And it was like I would record Raw, I would record SmackDown. No, not SmackDown. Nitro. I would usually watch Raw live while recording it, and then one of my favorite things about wrestling was I'm a night owl.
Mm-hmm.
I work, I live, I am up at night. Me seeing 3 o'clock in the morning is not a rare occurrence. Exactly. And so when I found, I was sitting there in my room scrolling at 3 o'clock in the morning, going through it was a cable guide at the time, so I'm actually going channel to channel.
Oh, man. I'm not able
to just scroll a guide and pick something. So I'm actually going channel to channel. And I got here in Linfield, Massachusetts, there was 14 through 17 were the local access and the Spanish language channels. And so I'm flipping, all of a sudden I start flipping quick. I'm flip. But I got a glimmer as I was flipping of wrestling. And I flip back a couple. And on the Spanish language channel at 3 o'clock in the morning here in Boston was in the late 90s, a show that I had never heard of called ECW.
Yeah. Now,
and I fell in love with pro wrestling all over again.
Yeah, ECW for me was like a real rarity and everything. I can only find it around my area on tape. And then when I did find it on tape, it was always at the same place. It was one of my friends named Blaney. And he would always have a damn tape. And I would happen to come over there and he'd be watching it. And I'd be like, what the hell is this?
This is some of the craziest shit. This isn't my wrestling. This isn't, fun and shenanigans. This is people cursing and bleeding all over the place. And yeah, it was 3 o'clock in the morning on Sunday nights here on the Spanish language channel in where I live in Linfield. And and I'm like, okay, well, now I know exactly. I'm setting my VCR for 3 a.m. Sunday nights on the Spanish language channel. And I would watch these shows and I'm like, this is fuck. And at the time, in the late 90s, I was target demo. Mm. I always say I was the target demo for the Attitude Era for ECW. In the late 90s, I was, between 17 and 22. Between the Attitude Era, from 97 to 2001, I was 17 to 22. So I was target demo. I was that young male demographic that wanted to see, the ECW shit, that wanted to see Sable, that wanted to see Sonny, that wanted, that wanted to see people bleed all over the place. That was what I was, that demo. So I was their core audience. That was the for lack of a better term, the greatest part of my wrestling fandom. I mean, I was lucky enough to be in Worcester for Mick Foley's first title win.
No,
I was able to be in the Boston Garden for Stone Cold Steve Austin's first title win at WrestleMania 14. I mean, these are just random occurrences that happened to happen in Boston while I was really, really excessively, aggressively into wrestling because they were doing what entertained the fuck out of me.
Yeah. And you're not too much older than me. You got 2-3 years on me, but I just found wrestling and all that shit sporadically or whatnot. But I can remember being in high school and DX was my shit. And damn, I would walk around with the DX shirt. And then I happened upon, some of my best friends, we still talk to this day, and they were wrestling fans, and we would eye each other up in the hallway and just start wrestling in the hallway, putting figure fours on each other and shit, jumping off of lockers and doing all kind of random junk. Man, it was just fucking fun.
No bullshit. I was doing mall security. It's a mall here in Massachusetts called the Burlington Mall. I was doing mall security. And up the highway was a strip club called Max 2's. And it was, at the time, I wasn't 21. It was an 18-plus strip club. But it was in the late 90s. And I used to have wrestling shirts. I had the DX shirt. I had the New Age Outlaws shirt. I had the Austin 316 shirt. And after I would get off work, I'd go there. And after a while, they got to know me. And when I would walk in the door, they would literally play wrestling themes as I walked into the strip club. It was fucking hilarious.
That's fucking great.
It was fucking hilarious. I mean, there's even beyond that, like just the stories of I used to eat chicken wings at a strip club in Peabody with Perry Saturn. That's a true story.
Oh shit!
Like in '99. Perry's from Peabody. He's from the area, and he was one of the greatest guys. I saw him there. I went over. I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm just fucking eating chicken wings." I'm like, "Cool, I'll have some too." And we just kind of had that kinship of, just two guys that liked going to this strip club in Peabody and eating chicken wings repeatedly.
Speaking of
Golden Banana, it was the Golden Banana.
Speaking of food inside of a strip club or whatever, that fucking blew my mind the first time I ever come upon that combo or whatever. I mean, you go to a place to see, ladies shake their ass and whatnot, and scantily clad to no clothing and whatnot, and then you got a homeboy in the kitchen in the back cooking chicken wings and everything, and I'm like, oh,
actually making good food. You imagine that?
Yeah, I don't get it. But I ate it.
Hey, man, they got to eat too, right?
Exactly. You got to feed your talent.
Right.
It's just like catering in, a wrestling organization.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before we transition away from the wrestling a little bit or whatnot, had you ever had any thoughts or anything to pursue a career in the wrestling field or whatever, whether it be referee, writer, any talent?
Yeah, I've tried a few times to be a writer. I haven't made the cut. I haven't got the interviews. That is what it is. I was working for a movie theater, and a bunch of the guys there did pro wrestling shows. They asked me to be a manager for one of their big tag team battle royal things. I'm like, cool. I played high school football. I've had concussions. I just told them, don't hit me in the face. Whatever you want to do, just don't hit me in the face. I just don't want to do it. It was an indie show in the late '90s. Was the Attitude Era, but I had already done high school football and had 2 concussions. So I'm like, just don't fucking hit me in the face. So it's an interesting story. So I'm sitting there at ringside. I'm doing my heel manager bit for the tag team, and I turn, and one of these smarmy little shits smacks me in the face with a chair.
Damn.
Now he's 5'6", 5'8". I'm 6'3", 200 and something pounds. I literally picked him up, threw him across the fucking gymnasium, and started motherfuckering him right in front of families. And because I it's like, I'm doing you a favor. I had one thing. Don't smack me in the face. And you hit me with a chair. I'm like, I almost killed him. So that was my one moment in professional, I'm going to say not so professional wrestling. That was my one moment.
All right. You got your hands and fingers and toes and a lot of things, whether it be from radio stations to actual live on air television, podcasting and whatnot.
Yeah.
What's the difference between the 3 things I mentioned, from producing and being on television to hosting a radio show and being a part of a podcast? What's the difference between the 3, and what's similar between the 3?
The similar part is I get to be myself, and I get to bring my own personality into it. The different thing is when I'm on TV, I have to comb my hair and wear nice clothes. Literally, I can do the radio and podcast in my pajamas with bedhead.
Yeah. Now,
what's that?
A new haircut.
And as Melissa is just telling me, I did just get a new haircut. I think it looks pretty sexy.
Great.
She thinks it looks great.
Awesome.
yes,
She give me compliments. I like that.
I concur.
Do you want to talk to Melissa?
Sure. Come on.
All right. Hang on a second. I've been doing this for a while, and I need to get another beer. Hang on a second.
Hello.
Hi, Melissa.
How are ya?
Hanging in there. I heard you.
Yeah, me too. It's Friday night, so you know.
I heard you had an infatuation with penis.
I mean, like, I wouldn't say an infatuation, but I mean, like, it's intriguing, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's a odd thing, you know. It protrudes from a body. It does things. It goes in and out of places. I don't know.
You know what? From the way you're talking, it kind of seems like you have the infatuation. Am I right?
I mean, I have to because it's a part of me. You know, it does the things that I need it to do.
Is it a part of you?
Yeah. I mean, I can't put it in the drawer.
Oh, good to know. That is good to know. Good for you. I'm happy for you.
So how's your weekend going so far?
It's going great. You know, it's Friday night and I'm starting it off at Wahlburgers and Linfield with Mike, and we're having some drinks and eating some good food. So, you know, no complaints.
We are pining for a Wahlburgers here in Houston, Texas. I've heard rumblings of them maybe opening up one right here, but if they were ever to do such a thing, would you recommend I go? And what would you recommend?
Did you say rumblings? Number one, did you say rumblings?
Yeah, I had to keep my ear to the ground.
Oh my God, I thought I heard a Texas accent. See, Mike didn't even tell me you're from Texas.
Well,
so
this
just got interesting.
Well, that is an interesting thing because I mean, I live here in Texas, but I'm not from here. I'm from Louisiana, so I mean, I'm closely.
You're from Louisiana.
Yeah, so
you know that Mardi Gras is coming up, huh?
Oh yeah, I know.
Mardi Gras on what? March 5th this year?
Yeah, I believe so.
I miss it. I went to it like when I was underage, and they took my ID back then, so that was kind of nice. Not going to throw anybody under the bus. I'm not going to tell you what hotel I stayed at, but that was such a great fucking week, and I don't know. I kind of want to go back. Maybe not this year, but next.
See, and that's kind of the same thing with me or whatever. I mean, I lived there all my life, and then, you know, I partook, but it was always, you know, underage stuff or whatever. I mean, I never went to the big areas, the big parties of it, but I did kind of participate in some ways. But, you know, I never
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I never really.
I mean, like, I was only there when I was 19 years old. I haven't been back, but I miss it. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, you know, I never been as an adult, you know, and then I joined the military as soon as I got out of high school, so I've been away from home.
What branch?
Marine Corps.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Yay. I love the Marines. I actually wanted to join the Air Force myself, but because of health problems, they wouldn't accept me. So I was like, damn, fuck. But, you know.
But shit, we would have took you.
Whatever.
Yeah, we would have took you. You could have had one leg, bum eye, you know, 6 toes. We would have whipped you into shape and put you in the field.
Well, thanks for telling me now, 10 years later.
Hey, things happen for a reason. I mean, you might be in a better place than you would have been if you joined them.
You never know. We can't go back in time because if we did, you know, I'd probably have a lot more money than I have now.
Exactly. Now,
I'd be a professional gambler, huh?
Now speaking of time travel, what theory of time travel do you subscribe to? Let's just say.
What does that even mean?
So there's different theories of time travel. All right. If you go back in time, it's like we make a time machine right now, right here on February 22nd. The theory of time travel is you can only go back to the creation of the time machine. So 2 hours from now, we can only go back 2 hours. And then there's some people.
2 hours?
Yeah. So you can only go back to the origin of the time machine being created. So this is what I'm saying. So that's one theory. And then they have people saying that once the time machine is created, you can go back as far as you want and, you know, just go time travel, you know, just like fantasy shit. And then some.
Okay, but only 2 hours, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so 2 hours ago, instead of ordering another margarita, I probably would have ordered a martini because there's more alcohol in it. I mean, like, I ordered like a margarita with tequila and a Grand Marnier float. And then I ordered a basic ass margarita after that. I'm like, no, dude, what am I doing? Like, I'm slacking. I should have ordered like, you know, like one of those martinis that's pure alcohol, you know?
Now, what's your favorite drink?
My favorite drink? That's a really hard question to answer. Honestly, like, I have a lot of favorite drinks.
Okay, so what's your favorite type of alcohol? Vodka?
My favorite drink right now? Okay, probably tequila because it's a natural upper. So, you know, I mean, like, I like uppers. No, I'm just kidding. As in the tequila form. I do like beer. Beer is nice. I do not like gin. I do not like whiskey. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I'm saying that is because it's probably easier for me to say the things I do not like than things I like.
Yeah, that makes sense. I totally agree. I can name a lot of things that I don't like versus all the things that I do like.
Yeah, right? Seriously. I mean, it's just like nice to concentrate on the positive, you know?
Now, you on Wicked Bites with Mike?
Yes, I am. I'm one of his co-hosts. And it's a lot of fun. We get to eat like, a lot of good food, get to drink a lot of good alcohol. It's a fun time. I like it a lot.
So what's that like? I mean, how often do y'all do that? I know.
It depends. I mean, like, we film a bunch of stuff and then it airs. It really depends on how much we film. I don't know. I don't really know how to answer that.
Yeah. Because I mean,
I'm on this weekend. Does that count? I was on today and I'm on tomorrow. Does that count?
Yeah. Because I mean, that's kind of how it is with the podcast. I put out the main show every Sunday, but throughout the week, nice. I record like 5 episodes throughout the week. So, do you go back to back?
That's what I like about this business. We get to do different amounts like all the time. And like, you never know like how much you're going to film. You never know like anything. Like, and I love that shit. I love being like on my toes,
Mm. Now I've seen bits and pieces of the show here and there and whatnot. Have y'all ever participated in any of the food challenges and whatnot?
Food challenges, as in what? Like drinking challenges or eating challenges? Because I could do drinking, but not eating.
Yeah, well, either or. It doesn't matter.
I wouldn't say like any so far, just because, I don't want to like do those eating challenges. Yeah. It's a lot of food. It's a lot of calories.
And then that's a lot of pressure too. Cause I mean, you could probably do some creative editing and make it look like you won, but
I mean, honestly, like I haven't even gotten that far. I mean, like at this point, I'd rather be a judge in an eating contest than I would anything else, just because it would probably hurt to like eat that much, and I'm like all set, Yeah. I mean, power to the people that do that, but for me, I'd rather be on the judging side.
Yeah, because you bring that up or whatever, the stress that it can put on your body. I was
yeah, it's a lot.
I was stationed in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and we took a group out to this little diner off the highway up there, and they had a burger challenge called the Route 66 Burger. And it was
I would die.
It was a 66 ounce burger with all the trimmings and the sides. And you had to finish it within 66 minutes. And
did you pray to God that you could do it? Because I would be praying to Jesus Christ at that point. Well, please help me through this challenge, because I could not do that on my own. Well, I could not do that.
Well, I'm with you. I was on the opposite side. I wouldn't participate. And I had people with me that did the thing. And one guy, he got through all the sides but couldn't really tackle the burger. And then the other guy, he got damn near down to the end. He just had like a couple of fries and a little bit of bun and meat left, and his body was just like, I gotta evacuate all this shit now. So he couldn't finish.
So who won? That's the question.
The dining establishment, because they had to pay for everything. Because they didn't.
Oh my God. So it was an interesting event, to say the least.
Exactly.
Too funny. Well, I'm going to hand you back to Mike now, but thank you for talking with me. I hope you tune into the show soon.
All right. I sure will. I appreciate your time.
I love your accent, by the way.
All right. Thank you.
Hey, man.
Hey.
I got my beer back.
Sweet. What kind you get?
I'm a pretty basic bitch. Coors Light. Yeah. It's more of a functional thing than a flavor thing.
Now,
it gets me where I need to be.
So we were talking about the differences between radio, podcasting, and television and whatnot. You do the show that I most know you for, and that's That Movie Show on the NAI Pop Network with Liam Stratton.
I do.
And most recently, you were acquired by Northshore 104.9 to do a radio edition of this show. And
yes.
So, least to say, I mean, you're on national radio and everything and whatnot. It's a little bit more family friendly than what we get on the podcast, correct?
That is correct. Our podcast will continue to stay the same. As I've always told people, and I've worked for many radio companies, and I've done many podcasts, and many of my radio bosses have said the same thing about my podcast, which is you guys curse a lot. And I've always said the same thing. You guys don't pay me not to.
Yeah.
If they pay me not to, we won't curse. I can be an adult. I've done, I've done over a decade and a half of professional broadcast radio. So, yes, the 30-minute version of that movie show, which we've kind of done. Sorry, I got hiccups now. We've kind of done a news and Jesus Christ, these hiccups are killing me.
Remix.
Yeah, right. So, okay. The 30-minute version, which is like news and rumors and stuff like that about current event movies, is the radio-friendly version. The hour-long version, which drops every Monday on New Age Insiders Pop, is still the same show. You can expect all the same reviews of movies from the past, from the present, we can't review movies from the future, but with the same type of shenanigans and shitty language that we put into it. So that you can always find until somebody pays us to stop cursing.
Yeah, makes sense to me. Now, the relationship with you and Liam Stryker, how did that come about? So years ago, I used to do a show called The Mike and Billy Show. And The Mike and Billy Show was two radio guys who were a little disgruntled about not having a good placement in the world as far as radio. And were you Billy or Mike?
I'm Mike.
Okay, all right.
Obviously. And so we were doing a show, and after a while, because we were associated with CBS Radio at the time, and because WWE didn't have such a restriction on podcasts and media, we were getting a lot of interviews with actual current WWE, stars, especially when it came around pay-per-view time. So we had Roman Reigns on for like 4 different occasions while he was in the Shield. And they were some of the best interviews we've ever done. And you can still find those interviews. They're available on my podcasting. I don't know what the fuck. Honestly, if you search Mike Wendt, MikeWendt on any podcasting thing, Google, iTunes, whatever, you'll find them somewhere. We did some great interviews with Paul Heyman. We did some great interviews with Cody Rhodes before he became Stardust. We did, just great, just awesome interviews. And Bill Neville, who is the producer and host of New Age Insiders and the producer of that movie show at the time, was doing a roundtable discussion with his podcast, which was after the Bell. And he brought in a few different people. One of them was me, and 2 of them were Liam Stryker and Jason Molotov of the New Age Insiders. And we started doing this roundtable thing. It was like a Royal Rumble pre-show. At the time, Bill was doing a podcast with Lee Morgan and Chris Pontius, and it was just a roundtable thing. And out of that roundtable, literally the current incarnation of New Age Insiders was born, but also my relationship with these guys was born, because I kept showing up, sometimes invited, sometimes I just forced myself onto their show. And I was an uninvited guest, and we just, and Liam and I just kept getting along because we're movie geeks. And I was sitting there, I was, for lack of a better term, I was playing up my heel role. I was arguing with people on the show just because it's more fun than agreeing with everybody. Yeah. And I was also dropping a lot of movie references, and every time I drop a movie reference, I would get that kind of wink and a nod from Liam. And then I did Late Night Liam one night, which is his other podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And off air, he said, because I was doing Wicked Bites at the time, he's like, would NESN ever be interested in a wrestling show? And I was like, probably not, but, whatever. And I put it in the back of my mind. So one night I'm sitting there and I'm sitting in my house and I'm drinking and I'm thinking about it. And I send one of my guys at NESN an email. I'm like, hey, would you ever do a wrestling show, like a pro wrestling show, like a WWE fake fighting type of show? And he immediately responded. This was 2 a.m. He's like, yes. Do you have ideas about that? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to stop drinking. Are you trying to? I'm like, I'll stop drinking and I will respond to you in the morning with an actual plan. And I grabbed Liam and I'm like, meet me in Watertown where the NESN headquarters is. I'm like, we're going to pitch a show. So we pitched that wrestling show. That wrestling show took off. And it was awesome. It was getting NESN huge numbers. I mean, we were averaging 20,000 viewers a fucking show, and we were live.
Sweet.
Because we would just ballin' bitches. That's what we do. Melissa is so fucking with me right now. She loves your accent. And so one of the afternoons, there's a bar right around the corner from the NESN headquarters, which is the Halfway Cafe, which is my local, watering hole. It's where I go to just get fucked up without judgment. And I brought Liam there, and I'm like, and we started chatting, and I'm like, well, we like movies. You like movies. I like movies. Let's do a movie podcast. It's easy for us. We can just talk movies forever. So that's the really long story, which I hope your listeners listen through. That's a really long story of how Liam and I became that movie show. And now we're on, major market radio. We have sponsors. We are professional broadcasters. It's a weird fucking dynamic.
I mean, and that's cool. I mean, ultimately, that's what we all aspire to, just doing podcasts and whatnot, to, branch out of that little bubble, that little pool into everything and, kind of spread our legs out a little bit in the mainstream and whatnot. And you getting to do all of the above. You're on TV, you're on radio, goddamn podcasting on everybody freaking ear holes through freaking earbuds and whatnot. So, I mean, more Mike Wendt isn't too bad for me.
What's that now?
I said more Mike Wendt isn't a bad thing for me.
No, I agree. More Mike Wendt is not a bad thing. To be honest with you, actually, I think the bar's trying to close.
Yeah, no problem.
So I kind of have to wrap this up with you.
Yeah, no problem, man.
But this has been a hoot, and I absolutely want to and I absolutely want to do this again.
Sweet, I'm down for the cause.
So you get in touch with me, we will get in touch with you, and we can do this again when I'm not sitting in a bar with waiters and waitresses looking at me like, get the fuck out of here.
No problem, man. I appreciate the time that you did give me. It's been a blast. I get to hear your voice in my ear holes on my side of things rather than, through my car radio or wherever I'm listening to you on. But before we go, before they kick you out, let everybody know where they can find you on all the things.
Yeah, absolutely. Follow me at Mike Wendt. That's MikeWendt. That movie show, which you can find on any podcasting app, which is under the New Age Insiders Pop Network. So search that out. I mean, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google, whatever the fuck, wherever you listen to your podcast, tell your friends that it's that movie show on New Age Insiders Pop. That's the main bullet point. Of course, myself and Melissa are on Wicked Bites, which here in the New England area can be found on NESN at the New England Sports Network every Saturday morning at 9:30. For more on what I do and where I can be found, it's at Mike Wendt, MikeWendt, on all forms of social media.
For sure. And you've been a guest, and as for every guest that has been on this show, the door is always open for you to come on back in and promote whatever it is that you're doing, or just the bullshit, man, and hang out.
I appreciate it, man.
All right, take it easy.
You have a good night.
All right, you too. And that was the fabulous Mr. Mike Wendt. I can't tell you all how happy and grateful I was for Mike to show up on the show. I listen to him on a weekly basis on That Movie Show on the NAI Pop Network. You see, I had to slow down the alliteration there because it sounds like I'm saying NEI every time I say it fast. But his show, him and Liam, That Movie Show, is one of the podcasts that I listen to. If I'm not seeing it pop up in my subscription feed on my freaking iTunes app, I mean, not iTunes, Apple Podcasts, whatever the fuck, you know what I'm saying? I'm sitting there wondering, like, what the fuck is going on? Why don't I have new Mike Wendt and Liam in my ear holes? What's going on? It fucks up my day if I don't get to hear them on that Monday morning and whatnot. You know what? And they do video or whatever. You can find them on Twitch. I think it's on NAI TV on Twitch or whatever. You can find the video versions of their podcast as well. And I never sat down to watch the video stuff because, I mean, the video stuff does come out earlier than the freaking the podcast version sometimes. And I could get my fix then, but at the same time, I'm a little bit of a traditionalist. So Monday morning when I'm waking up to go to work, I'm taking my drive in, my little commute. I like to throw on That Movie Show, man. It's a part of my routine. It's a part of my time. But, yeah, it was cool to, hear the origin story of As You Do. Like I said, man, I'm not exaggerating. I'm not bullshitting. Until I heard him on That Movie Show say those words, I'd never heard that phrase in term in my life. And what's funny about that is, like, when you hear something for the first time, then after you never stop hearing it again. Because once I heard him say it, not too long after, it wasn't like right away, but I started to hear other people say it. And I don't know if it was a direct effect of the Mike Wendt factor, but damn, I heard freaking dude over on the Cult 45 podcast say As You Do one time. And then, it's like that thing. I wonder if this is one of the Mandela things. I don't even know if that's classified as a Mandela effect, but like, all right, you're driving around, you have your car and you never see the car you want driving on the road. And then when you go buy a new car, you can't help but see that car that you just bought all over the place. It's one of those type things. It's weird, ain't it? Yeah. Anybody ever experienced that? But yeah, they're doing big things and, I'm proud of, anybody's success. They went from, doing the podcast. Now they have a radio show of the same name, That Movie Show, which you can find on Northshore 104.9. If you're up in the Northeast and whatnot, I'm pretty sure they got, if you look up their radio station or something, they probably got like a app or something you can download, or you can probably find it on iHeartRadio or some of those thingy things and whatnot. So you can find more Mike Wendt. Pull up his IMDb. You find that he has some interesting roles and cameos in a lot of movies that you've seen or may have not seen. And if you haven't seen them, go back and watch them just so you can find Mike Wendt lurking around in the foreground or the background or something like that. But yeah, that was it, man. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Hi, Melissa. Her pet word is penis. Very delightful young lady and whatnot. And check him out on NESN. NESN. If you're in that area or if you got access to it, I'm pretty sure you can find New England Sports Network online and find some stuff there. YouTube. You can't help but find Mike Wendt on the internet, baby. I'm kind of rambling right now. I'm trying to do multi things while I record this, but I hope you enjoyed the interview. I hope you enjoyed Mike Wendt. I hope you get some more Mike Wendt in your life. I have officially joined the Mike Wendt Kiss His Ass Club. So every time I talk about him, I got to kiss his ass. But that's it for this edition of the Random Rounds with Rob podcast. Look forward to next week. I got some more episodes coming your way. I got some new episodes of Wrestling is Trash coming your way. If you're a Patreon, I just uploaded a whole bunch of unedited content to your Patreon feed. And if you're not a Patreon, you should be a Patreon. You can do it as little as $1 a month. And you get some cool things, you know. So with that being said, let me get my plugs in and get on out. You can find me on Twitter at itsbrob. That's ITSBROB. If you want to talk professional wrestling and any other general shenanigans, that's the place you do it. This show also has its own Twitter account that you can find at 3R Show. And you can follow me on Instagram. Just type in Random Rams with Rob or 3R Show. You find something that is tailored to me, except for that actual account called at 3R Show. Punk motherfuckers ain't got no posts. Don't use their account. Sorry, sons of bitches. And you can go to randomrobcast.com to where March 1st will be the official launch of the merchandise store that is native to randomrobcast.com. Just one of the many ways that you can help support the show. And if you pre-order right now between today, as you hear this, and March 1st, and I don't know why I'm saying today, because if you heard the intro, is however you listen to podcasts, you can probably be listening to this after the 1st of March, but just know you miss your window if you are. So from whenever to March 1st, if you pre-order a hat or any merchandise for just $5 for your if you pre-order anything, just $5 will get you whatever if you're trying to get a shirt, hat, or anything like that. $5 will get you free shipping and an additional $5 off your purchase. So that's $5 for the pre-order, $5 off, and free shipping. So you're saving some money there. And yeah, I got a listing of all the items that'll be up for sale. Some better than others. All of them are the same in the fact that they help support the show. And when I say better than others, I mean, you might like hats better than you like shirts. You might like shirts better than you like hats. I got coffee mugs that change colors, baby. They change colors. You see a picture, you put the hot shit in there and it changed to another color. I got some fly shit like that, which you can find on randomrobcast.com, opening up on March 1st. Also on randomrobcast.com, you can use my Amazon links, you know. Get to show some kickback if you make any purchases. You don't pay nothing extra. You get a free 30-day trial of Amazon Prime. What else? You can just straight up donate to the show. They got Cash App and motherfucking PayPal links on there. Just drop a little dime in there if you don't want to contribute monthly through the Patreon. And you can find links to the Patreon on randomrobcast.com. And you can hit up the sponsors, Hook, Rub, and Spices. Go to Etsy.com and look up Hooks, Rubs, and Spices. If you purchase anything $6 or more, you get 10% off if you use the promo code 3R Show. 3R Show. And yeah, man, I think that's about it. I'm working on some video content that'll be coming up here. The Patreon people see it first. I did open another YouTube channel that's specifically branded for 3R Show. I don't know why I did it. You know, I got multiple email accounts and they asked me if I wanted to, so I guess I did it that just because. And I just wanted to have the 3R Show represented on some other multimedia platform. But I ain't got no videos and I ain't got shit up there right now. But I might just transfer the actual videos that I've made and been in and been on over to that. So that way, you know, when I upload the freaking podcast stuff, you know, it drops shit on the YouTube thing. I don't like all that clutter, pretty much. And you can't reorder how the videos come out because they only pop up as you post them, you know. So I don't like having to scroll through all that podcast audio shit that they just throw up there. Then you find a sprinkling of a video, then you find a sprinkling of a video. I just want you to see all the video content. But yeah, that's just a little quirk I got. Anyway, I've rambled enough. I appreciate your time, and I hope you enjoy me next time, and I'll see you soon. Giggity goo.